The most famous seducer who ever lived, Casanova. A man who swept through 18th century Europe on charm alone. And yet, even he once met someone he simply could not read. A singer he fell for, whom the whole world called a man. But Casanova refused to believe it. He left behind 12 whole volumes of memoirs. Hundreds of lovers, duels, prison breaks, and con games fill their pages. No court in Europe hadn't heard his name. But even he carried the scar of a first love he could never quite forget. The year is 1744. Casanova is just 19, handsome, ambitious, and completely broke. In the little port of Ancona, he crosses paths with a traveling family of performers. And their brightest star is a young singer named Bellino. The moment he hears Bellino sing, something in him stirs. The voice is impossibly pure, the face delicate and fine. And Casanova, who has studied 1,000 faces, feels a certainty settle in his chest. That is no boy. But the world said otherwise. On the Pope's stages, women were forbidden to perform. So female roles were sung by castrati, boys cut before puberty to keep a high, unearthly voice. Bellino was said to be one of them, which meant, by every rule of the age, Bellino was a man. And the castrati themselves were a cruelty dressed as art. For a century, poor families sold their sons to the knife, all for a chance at that inhuman voice. Most were maimed and then forgotten. A rare few became the superstars of the age, worshipped and richer than princes. Casanova couldn't let it go. Every glance deepened his doubt and his desire with it. He told himself it was only a puzzle to be solved. But in truth, he was already falling. First, he tried the direct approach. He pressed a gold coin into the hand of Bellino's mother. "Just tell me the truth," he begged. "Confess that your child is really a girl." She closed her fingers around the gold, smiled, and told him absolutely nothing. So he did what Casanova always did. He moved in closer. He charmed the whole household, the 2 young sisters and all. But it was Bellino, the one he could not have, who haunted his every waking hour. One evening, by the fire, he finally got close enough to be certain. Beneath the loose ruffle, he felt a bosom no boy could ever own. His heart leapt. And then, Bellino revealed something that made no sense at all. Something that seemed to prove the very opposite. A body that argued back against everything his hands had just told him. Casanova pulled away dizzy. He had never been so sure, and so wrong, at the very same moment. For any other man, that would have been the end of it. But Casanova didn't want an easy answer. He wanted her. The confusion wasn't a wall in his way. It was the very thing pulling him in. Bellino promised proof. Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. One more day, one more sweet excuse. And with every delay, the hook sank deeper into him. Then came a dinner with a Spanish nobleman, Don Sancho. That night, Bellino appeared not as a boy, but dressed fully as a woman. And the effect was devastating. Every man at the table was certain now. This was a woman, and a dazzling one. Only Casanova sat there in torment. Because he, of all people, still could not prove it. The not knowing became a kind of madness. The man who read everyone had met the one person he could not. And for the first time in his life, Casanova was the one being played. Finally, on one last night, he gave an ultimatum. "Prove it now, or I ride away at dawn and you never see me again." And at last, Bellino stopped hiding. Bellino was a woman. Her name was Teresa. What she told him next broke his heart. As a girl, Teresa had been taken in by a celebrated castrato singer named Salimbeni. He became her teacher, her protector, and her first love. Salimbeni was also paying to raise a poor boy, a young castrato named Bellino. But when Teresa arrived to join them, she found a house in mourning. The real Bellino had died the day before. And so they made a desperate, dangerous choice. Teresa would become Bellino. She would take a dead boy's name, bind herself into a castrato's disguise, and sing in his place. It was the only door a woman could walk through onto that stage. But the disguise was a tightrope over a cliff. If anyone uncovered the truth, it was not only her career that would end. A woman caught deceiving the church's stage risked disgrace, prison, and ruin. So she lived a double life on a knife's edge. A woman, playing a castrated boy, playing a woman on stage. Applauded by thousands who never once guessed. Hiding, night after night, in the brightest light of all. Imagine the toll of it. Every embrace was a risk, every doctor a threat, every jealous rival a possible ruin. She could trust no one completely. She carried her secret like a blade held against her own throat. For Casanova, the mystery only made her impossible to resist. And this time, the greatest lover in Europe swore that it was real. He didn't merely want Teresa. He begged her to marry him. But fate, as always, had other plans. Almost overnight, Casanova was seized by the authorities and dragged away under arrest. By the time he tore himself free, Teresa was already gone. She went on to become a celebrated singer under her own name, in her own right. She never needed him at all, and perhaps that is exactly why he never forgot her. In the years that followed, Teresa's gift finally set her free. As a woman, at last, she sang before the courts of Europe. The disguise that had once trapped her had, in the end, also made her. And Casanova was only ever a chapter in her story, not the other way around. Maybe that is what he could never forget. Not a face, not a single night, but the one person who wore 100 masks and let him lift only the one she chose. In a life of easy conquests, she was the one riddle he never fully solved. One woman, hiding as a man, who fooled all of Italy and very nearly fooled the greatest reader of hearts alive. And this is only where his story begins. Next time, how a sickly boy from Venice, written off to die, grew into the most dangerous man in Europe.